Riddhi, in the heart, Vidha, pierced, to, then, Tan, all of them, Smaran, remembering, Na, not, Aichat, desired, Mukti Pati, from the Lord, whose lotus feet give liberation. Muktim, salvation. Tasmat, therefore. Tapam, grief. Upeyivan, he suffered. Maitreya answered, Dhruva Maharaj's heart. Sie können einfach lesen, oder? Dhruva Maharaj's heart, which was pierced by the arrows of the harsh words of his stepmother, was greatly aggrieved, and thus, when he fixed upon his goal of life, he did not forget her misbehavior. He did not demand actual liberation from this material world, but at the end of his devotional service, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared before him, he was simply ashamed of the material demands he had in his mind. Purport. This important verse has been discussed by many stalwart commentators. Why was Dhruva Maharaj not very pleased, even after achieving the goal of life he desired? A pure devotee is always free from any kind of material desires. In the material world, one's material desires are all most demonic. One thinks of others as one's enemies. One thinks of revenge against one's enemies. One aspires to become the topmost leader or topmost person in this material world, and thus one competes with all others. This has been described in the Bhagavad Gita, 16th chapter, as asuric. A pure devotee has no demand from the Lord. His only concern is to serve the Lord sincerely and seriously, and he is not at all concerned about what will happen in the future. In the Mukundamala Stotra, King Kulashika, author of the book, states in his prayer, "My dear Lord, I don't want any position of sense gratification within this material world. I simply want to engage in your service perpetually." Similarly, Lord Chaitanya in his Shikshashaka also prayed, "My Lord, I do not want any amount of material wealth. I do not want any number of materialistic followers, nor do I want any attractive wife to enjoy. The only thing I want is that I may engage life after life in your service." Lord Chaitanya did not pray even for mukti or liberation. In this verse, Maitreya replied to Vidura that Dhruva Maharaj, influenced by a revengeful attitude toward his insulting stepmother, did not think of mukti, nor did he know what mukti was. Therefore, he failed to aim for mukti as his goal in life. But a pure devotee also does not want liberation. He is a soul completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord, and he does not demand anything from the Lord. This position was realized by Dhruva Maharaj when he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead present personally before him, because he was elevated to the Vasudev platform. The Vasudev platform refers to the stage at which material contamination is conspicuous by absence only. Or in other words, where there is no question of the material modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, and one can therefore see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. because on the Vasudev platform one can see God to face, the Lord is also called Vasudev. Dhruva Maharaj's demand was for a position so exalted that it was never enjoyed even by Lord Brahma, his great-grandfather. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is so affectionate and kind towards his devotee, especially to a devotee like Dhruva Maharaj, who went to render devotional service in the forest alone at the age of only 5 years. That although the motive might be impure, the Lord does not consider the motive. He is concerned with the service. But if a devotee has a particular motive, the Lord directly or indirectly knows it, and therefore he does not leave the devotee's material desires unfulfilled. These are some of the special favors by the Lord to a devotee. Dhruva Maharaj was offered Dhruvaloka, a planet that was never resided upon by any conditioned soul. Even Brahma, although the topmost living creature within this universe, was not allowed to enter the Dhruvaloka. Whenever there is a crisis within this universe, the demigods go to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, and they stand on the beach of the Milk Ocean. So the fulfillment of Dhruva Maharaj's demand, a position more exalted than that of even his great-grandfather, Brahma, was offered to him. Here in this verse, the Lord is described as Muktipati, which means one under whose lotus feet there are all kinds of mukti. There are 5 kinds of mukti: Sayujya, Sarupya, Salokya, Samipya, and Sarishti. Out of these 5 muktis, which can be achieved by any person engaged in devotional service to the Lord, the one which is known as Sayujya is generally demanded by Mayavadi philosophers. They demand to become one with the impersonal Brahman effulgence of the Lord. In the opinion of many scholars, this Sayujya mukti, although counted among the 5 kinds of mukti, is not actually mukti, because from Sayujya mukti one may again fall down to this material world. This information we have from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 10.2.32, wherein it is said, Patantyada, which means they again fall down. The monist philosopher, after executing severe austerity, merges into the impersonal effulgence of the Lord. But the living entity always wants reciprocation in loving affairs. Therefore, although the monist philosopher is elevated to the status of being one with the effulgence of the Lord, because there is no facility for associating with the Lord and rendering service unto him, he again falls into this material world, and his service propensity is satisfied by materialistic welfare activities like humanitarianism, altruism, and philanthropy. There are many instances of such fall-downs, even for great sannyasis in the Mayavad school. Therefore, Vaishnava philosophers do not accept Sayujya mukti to be within the category of mukti. According to them, mukti means transferal to the loving service of the Lord from one's position of serving Maya. Lord Chaitanya also says in this connection that the constitutional position of a living entity is to render service to the Lord. That is real mukti. When one is situated in his original position, giving up artificial positions, he is called mukta, or liberated. In the Bhagavad Gita, this is confirmed. Anyone who engages in rendering transcendental loving service to the Lord is considered to be mukta, or Brahma Bhuta. It is said in Bhagavad Gita that a devotee is considered to be on the Brahma Bhuta platform when he has no material contamination. In the Padma Purana, this is also confirmed. Mukti means engagement in the service of the Lord. The great sage Maitreya explained that Dhruva Maharaj did not desire in the beginning to engage in the service of the Lord, but he wanted an exalted position, better than his great-grandfathers. This is more or less not service to the Lord, but service to the senses. Even if one gets the position of Brahma, the most exalted position in this material world, he is a conditioned soul. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati says that if one is elevated to real, pure devotional service, he considers even great demigods like Brahma and Indra to be on an equal level with an insignificant insect. The reason is that an insignificant insect has a desire for sense gratification, and even a great personality like Lord Brahma also wants to dominate this material nature. Sense gratification means domination over material nature. The whole competition between conditioned souls is based upon domination of this material nature. Modern scientists are proud of their knowledge because they are discovering new methods to dominate the laws of material nature. They think that this is the advancement of human civilization. The more they can dominate the material laws, the more advanced they think they are. Dhruva Maharaj's propensity in the beginning was like that. He wanted to dominate this material world in a greater position than Lord Brahma. Therefore, elsewhere it is described that after the appearance of the Lord, when Dhruva Maharaj thought and compared his determination to his final reward, he realized that he had wanted a few particles of broken glass, but instead had received many diamonds. As soon as he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face, he immediately became conscious of the unimportance of his demand from the Lord to have an exalted position better than Lord Brahma's. When Dhruva Maharaj became situated on the Vasudev platform due to seeing the Lord face to face, all his material contamination was cleared. Thus he became ashamed of what his demands were and what he had achieved. He was very much ashamed to think that although he had gone to Madhuvan, giving up the kingdom of his father, and he had gotten a spiritual master like Narada Muni, he was still thinking of revenge against his stepmother and wanted to occupy an exalted post within this material world. These were the causes for his moroseness, even after he received all the desired benedictions from the Lord. When Dhruva Maharaj factually saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there was no question of a revengeful attitude towards his stepmother, nor any aspiration to lord it over the material world. But the Supreme Personality is so kind that he knew that Dhruva Maharaj wanted these. Speaking before Dhruva Maharaj, he used the word Vedaham, because when Dhruva Maharaj demanded material benefits, the Lord was present within his heart, and so knew everything. The Lord always knows everything a man is thinking. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita also. Vedaham samatitani. The Lord fulfilled all Dhruva Maharaj's desires. His revengeful attitude toward his stepmother and stepbrother was satisfied. His desire for a more exalted position than that of his great-grandfather was also fulfilled. And at the same time, his eternal position in Dhruvaloka was fixed. Although Dhruva Maharaj's achievement of an eternal planet was not conceived of by him, although Dhruva Maharaj's achievement of an eternal planet was not conceived of by him, Krishna thought, what will Dhruva do with an exalted position within this material world? Therefore, he gave Dhruva the opportunity to rule this material world for 36,000 years with unchangeable senses and the chance to perform many great sacrifices and thus become the most reputed king within this material world. And after finishing with all this material enjoyment, Dhruva would be promoted to the spiritual world, which includes the Dhruva Loka. Shri 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 Palad Lakshmi Singhadev Ki Jai. The verse again. Maitreya uvacha matu sapatnya vakpanaya ridi vidastu stansmaran naichan mukti pater muktim tasmat tapam upeyivan. Maitreya answered, Dhruva Maharaj's heart, which was pierced by the arrows of the harsh words of his stepmother, was greatly aggrieved, and thus, when he fixed upon his goal of life, he did not forget her misbehavior. He did not demand actual liberation from this material world, but at the end of his devotional service, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared before him, he was simply ashamed of the material demands he had in his mind. Yeah, Prabhupada writes, the great acharyas have commented this fact because it is astonishing. Dhruva Maharaj, he had gone into the had been insulted by his stepmother, that he could only sit on the lap of his father if he had taken birth from her. And Dhruva Maharaj, he left the palace, went to his mother and asked her how he can fulfill his desire to have a kingdom greater than his father's and grandfather and great-grandfather. The great-grandfather was Brahma, who controls the whole universe, whose kingdom practically is the whole universe. How could he get a benediction? How could he get a kingdom that was greater as Lord Brahma's? It's a kind of childish desire. And his mother said that he could achieve his desires only if he pleased Krishna. And he asked, where can I find Krishna? And his mother said, the great sages, they go to the forest to search for Krishna by meditation. And Dhruva Maharaj, he went out of the palace to the forest. And Narada Muni, who knew about this, because he is all-knowing, he appeared before Dhruva Maharaj and he said, oh, where are you going? I want to go to the forest because I want a kingdom greater than mine. And Narada Muni said, how do you want to achieve this? I want to meditate upon Krishna. And then when I see Krishna, I will tell him that I want the greatest kingdom of all kingdoms. And Narada Muni, he was astonished about the determination of a 5-year-old boy. And he said, come on, you're just a small child. Go home and play, and you can't go into the forest like the great sages do. Simply return. You have to wait until you're grown up. Then you can go into the forest and meditate. Not now, not yet. You're too small and weak. But Dhruva Maharaj, because he was the son of a kshatriya, he had this nature and said, I want to do it now. And if you don't want to help me, please step aside. I want to go now. And Narada Muni, he is so determined, he was impressed and said, okay, I will help you. Gave him the mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And Dhruva, he sat down, meditated for only half a year. But he was so determined, he gave up everything. At first he ate only some fruits and berries. Then he gave that up, and he ate only some leaves fallen from the trees, which were useless anyway. He ate leaves. Then he only drank water, gave that up. And then finally he stopped breathing. And he was completely absorbed in thinking about the super soul. By his practices he was able to perceive the super soul, which is the goal of every yoga. He saw the super soul, and finally the super soul disappeared, and he was disturbed. Opened his eyes before him. Before him stood Lord Vishnu, whom he had thought about. And he offered his obeisances, his prayers. He could not speak so much, he didn't know so much. But the Lord, he touched Dhruva's head with his conch, and then Dhruva Maharaj, he was completely purified and able to speak wonderful prayers to the Lord and appreciate him. And he told the Lord, I was looking for pieces of broken glass, but now I have found you, who are the most valuable diamond. Swaman kritatus mi paramnayachi. Now I don't want these pieces of glass anymore, because I've gotten you, the most valuable diamond. And here it is described. Vishnu, he blessed him. He said, Jubal, you can go home now, and in due course of time you will become the king. When your father goes to a forest, he will give the kingdom to you. And you will reign the kingdom. You will be the king for 36,000 of years. Perform many great sacrifices, become the most famous, pious king of all. And at the end, and your senses will not get old. Your body does not get old. You will always remain youthful, strong. And at the end, when you leave this body, you will go to my planet in this universe, the pole star, where Kshirodakshaya Vishnu remains, is staying. And you will stay there for eternity, because this planet, the Dhruvaloka, now it is called Dhruvaloka, it does not fall apart, it does not get destroyed at the end of this universe when all the planets are destroyed. This planet, it will remain because, Prabhupada explains here, it is part of the spiritual world. It is part of the spiritual world. It's a spiritual planet. Still we can see him. Kshirodakshaya Vishnu and Dhruva Maharaj are staying there. Dhruva Maharaj, he had gotten all these benedictions from the Lord, but still he was not completely happy. No, as it says here, he was simply ashamed of the material demands he had in his mind. He was just ashamed that the Lord had benedicted him with so many material blessings, which are material after all. Being the king and ruling for a long time, and body is always useful. But he performed his duties perfectly. He did everything as the Lord predicted. But now, even after seeing the Lord, he was not completely satisfied. He was simply ashamed of his the material desires he had when he had gone to the forest. He was just 5 years old. What discrimination does a 5-year-old child have? But now he was completely purified, completely Krishna conscious. Now he understood that this attitude had been childish and material and useless. I made some notes. Also, we sometimes have material desires. Well, maybe not sometimes. Once a devotee asked, on a morning walk, devotees accompanied Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada, for about an hour, Prabhupada walked very fast. Prabhupada had a heart attack. He almost left his body, and devotees called a doctor. And in the phone book, and the doctor that came, he was an old drunkard. And he was standing there, he did not look very competent. And he said, "This old man is praying too much. He should have some exercise." Boom, and then he left again. Got his money and left. But Prabhupada saw that he was quite fallen person, but still he accepted the advice as coming from Krishna. And from that day on, Prabhupada walked every day for 1 hour, swiftly. Said the devotees, his disciples who accompanied him, after the morning walk of Prabhupada, they were all finished. But Prabhupada not. He was so strong. He practiced so determined. He just went on, gave the class or other duties preaching. So on one morning walk, one disciple asked Prabhupada, "Oh, Srila Prabhupada, sometimes I fall into Maya." And Prabhupada said, "Sometimes you fall into Maya? You're always in Maya. Sometimes you fall into Krishna." Oh, okay. That's also our position. In the beginning, we are quite in the beginning. How's it? There's the chanting. In the beginning, the first stage is chanting with offenses. We are on the. Then comes the clearing platform. The material habits, they slowly get purified. And then finally comes the pure platform. It's described. In the beginning there is faith, then one comes into the association of devotees, and then one begins to perform devotional service. Then anatta nivritti, then our anattas, all our bad habits, they were clarified. By and by, they are purified and they go away. We can give up so many bad habits. If we think of, surely we can remember some of them, bad habits that were engraved in our heart. And we struggled with giving it up, but we pray and we perform devotional service. Finally, we are able to give up our bad habits, one after the other. Because when we chant, our mind becomes purified, our consciousness becomes purified, and by and by we understand, oh, I'm still attached to that, but now I understand, I realize this is detrimental, this is not helping, this is a disadvantage. It just distracts me, it just keeps me from making spiritual progress. And Krishna consciousness is so nice, I don't want to be hampered by this thing which I'm still attached to. So we leave it behind and go on, make spiritual progress. And when we realize we still have attachments, this and that and the other thing, But we should not be overly morose or unhappy. Oh, I'm still not a pure devotee. Oh, still I have no Krishna prema. I'm so fallen. And then we walk around with a morose face. Prabhu, what's up? What's going on? Oh, I still have material desire. Come on, what do you expect? You're here in Krishna consciousness for 3 months. What do you want? Be happy. Prabhupada says, chant and be happy. If we just get absorbed in our repenting and always repent and do nothing else, then that is not helpful for us and for others also. Prabhupada said, chant and be happy. Why? When we are happy, then we are enthusiastic. And we enthuse ourselves and others also. We can attract other persons to Krishna consciousness. Kadamba Khan Maharaj once he said, preaching means to show the people how happy we are. We should be happy. Sometimes I go out and 2-3 times a year only and distribute prasada. Go collecting a little bit. And devotees know when they go out distributing books, one has to be happy to attract the people, to inspire the people. If you come here, I have a bag with energy balls, and do you want to buy some? It's okay, no time. Get lost, idiot. No, one has to come and be happy, inspire the people. Once somebody asked Prabhupada, what does it mean to be humble on Sankirtan? And Prabhupada told one Mataji, tell him what I told you. And she said, at home you should be like a lamb. And when you go outside, you should be like a lion on the chase. Doesn't mean that you that you grab somebody and throw him down and bite his neck. But like a lion means to be aggressive like a lion. Also, not aggressive by punching him or something, but by influencing him. Influencing him by your Krishna consciousness. Like Maharaj Karamakamis, to show people how happy we are. We must be inspired, enthusiastic and happy. And when people see that, that is what they want. Maybe they don't need a book, a high philosophical book, highly philosophical, or maybe they don't want some sweets. But if you are inspired and happy, then they, well, that's a funny person. What does he have? Let me have a look. And then you inspire him, you influence him. We don't get influenced by material persons or by the material surrounding, but we should be like a lion. A lion does not get influenced. Oh, the bird, oh, such a beautiful bird. No, the lion walks. They said, Chandaka Pandit says, there's one thing one can learn from the lion, single-mindedness. The lion goes out looking for a sick animal that he can catch and eat. Single-mindedness, fixed. We should be fixed upon our service, upon the thing we want to do, single-mindedly, like a lion, and influence, and powerful. Influence people, don't get influenced ourselves. Come on, get lost, get a get a job. Oh yeah, maybe he's right, I don't dispute anything. Maybe you should just go get a job. Maybe it was Krishna talking to me. No. Okay, doesn't take it, doesn't matter. To the next, he will take it. Something like this. We should be happy, inspired. In this way, we can perform our duties nicely, like a lion on the chase, single-minded, determined, powerful. Once a former GBC, Ravinder Prabhu, he was CBC for Germany also, he gave a class here and he spoke about a certain verse in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. I searched, I looked it up. Helpful in this regard. Having awakened faith in the narrations of my glories, nachdem man Vertrauen in die Erzählung über meine Herrlichkeiten bekommen hat, being disgusted with all material activities, knowing that all sense gratification leads to misery, but still being unable to renounce all sense enjoyment, my devotee should remain happy and worship me with great faith and conviction. Even though he is sometimes engaged in sense enjoyment, my devotee knows that all sense gratification leads to a miserable result, and he sincerely repents such activities. Although we are not very advanced maybe yet, still we should be happy. Beginning devotional service is, we make offense, we make mistakes. If you do something, you also do mistakes. In German, wenn man was macht, wer was macht, macht auch Fehler. If you do something, you also do mistakes. So, still we go on. Still we go on, trying to make spiritual progress. And we are still we are satisfied somehow. Yes, I'm here, and I try to practice my devotional life sincerely in such a way that Prabhupada and Nrsingadev, Krishna, are pleased by my activities. And we should have faith that in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, faith is defined. Faith means to be convinced that simply by performing devotional service, everything will be achieved. Just by performing devotional service. Maybe the desire for devotional service is not yet so strong in our mind. Maybe we don't appreciate, we don't understand the value of devotional service. But still, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Prabhupada quotes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was only asking for devotional service, nothing else, no money, no wife, no this or that. Sometimes you need certain things, but still he asked only to be engaged in Krishna's service life after life. Also in the Gita, Krishna says, Bhaktyamam abhijanati yavanyastasmi tadvan. Only by devotional service can I be understood. We cannot force Krishna to reveal himself, but when we perform loving devotional service, then Krishna becomes pleased and he reveals himself to us. Maybe he does not dance in front of our eyes, but sometimes he arranges things. We see, oh, that was Frau, that was Krishna's arrangement. That was not, it cannot be otherwise. That was so unbelievable. That was Krishna's arrangement. We see sometimes Krishna reveals in that way, or by saying things to other persons, to devotees. Krishna reveals himself by and by. Sometimes we realize that the deity is Krishna himself. Prahlad and Nrsimhadev are present here. If we would be very completely conscious of it, we would not go away for taking prasadam or something, but we would stand here and look at the Lord all the time. We would be in His, actually yes, we would go and do our service. But sometimes we realize that the deity is non-different from Nrsimhadev, Prahlad Maharaj. Sometimes we realize this more and more. The more we get purified, the more we realize it. All these cases in which Krishna reveals himself to us. So we are confident of this, that simply by this process Prabhupada gave us, we will achieve the highest goal. We will become Krishna conscious and will come into the association of Krishna. Once a sannyasi said, when you are driving the car, don't look at the wheels while you're driving, but look as far ahead as possible. Overlook the whole situation on the road. Similarly in Krishna consciousness, don't look at the wheels don't look at your momentary situation. No, look as far ahead as possible. Prabhupada said, back to Godhead. That is the goal. And Prabhupada also said, if you simply chant your 16 rounds and follow the principles, then at the end of this life you will go back to Krishna. And Prabhupada looked around and he repeated, I guarantee this. So, if a pure devotee, when a pure devotee says this, it's true. Prabhupada guarantees, if you follow this process, we will go back to Krishna at the end, and we should look forward to this. Prabhupada once Prabhupada said, when the devotees greeted him at the airport, you are so enthusiastic. Oh, wonderful, how enthusiastic you are, and you should be enthusiastic, because after this life you will go back to Krishna. Yes, we should be conscious of this. We will become Krishna conscious by this process. Chitadarpanamarjanam, this process, by the chanting, we cleanse the mirror of our mind, of our consciousness, we purify our life. And maybe we don't realize it, but persons who see us some years later, they are astonished how much we changed. Like children, when you see children all the time, they grow and grow and you don't realize it. But if you would not see them for some years, suddenly, oh, you have grown so much. You're so tall now. And you make us, maybe we don't perceive our progress, but it is there. We go on. May take some more time, like with Dhruva Maharaj. But once Prabhupada said, you have spent so many lives, innumerable lives, performing all these material activities, eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Just use this one life, give this one life to Krishna, Prabhupada said. Give this one life to Krishna. We have done everything, been there, done it. We have experienced everything in all forms of life. This life, we have the chance, and there is nothing else for us to do but practicing Krishna consciousness. Here or at home, but at home we must be careful that we keep association to keep us strong. Association with other devotees. Yes, in this way, we do what Prabhupada wanted, and we make him and happy, him happy and Krishna happy. Okay, is there any question? Okay, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai.